tech capital in tatters. The monster flood is drowning Bengaluru. And with low-lying areas waterlogged, drains overflowing, this deluge has nowhere to drain. Boats on roads instead of cars. Tractors used as taxis from airports. High-end colonies flooded. Down to no drinking water for 2 days. While an ominous warning of more rain. 12 million residents left at the mercy of civic apathy. To our focus on To The Point this evening.
Well, that's what we're discussing, viewers. The residents of Bengaluru at the mercy of civic apathy. 225 crores. That's the single day loss caused due to flooding to IT firms in Bengaluru. Now, the Outer Ring Road Companies Association, a body that represents all major IT and banking companies on the ORR stretch in Bengaluru, have written to the Chief Minister of Karnataka asking for the infrastructure issue to be addressed immediately. But why does Bengaluru crumble every rain? We attempt to answer some of those questions today.
That's how rainwater lapped up at its foundations once again. Streets turned into rivers. Ground floors, basements washed through. Torrential rains have once again brought India's own Silicon Valley to its knees.
This is the fourth or fifth time we have been facing it. There is no way out, for the water to go. Last time also we have spoken to, media and even minister, whoever came, but the situation is not going to change.
We request the government, the corporator or corporation or whoever it may be. See, they can put a pipeline and do some this thing so that the water can go outlet.
Homes to IT parks, gleaming skyscrapers and Temple of Commerce, Bengaluru was submerged Monday for a second time in less than a week. On Sunday, the downpour in Bengaluru urban district was 368% more than the average. But the havoc it unfolded in the technology hub down south isn't an aberration anymore. It's been a menacing feature of city life for years. Crippling traffic jams and work-from-home orders when homes are flooded and blacked out by power outages.
The massive downpour in Bangalore, which had inconvenienced a lot of people just a week back, and just when the city was recovering, this heavy downpour has created a lot of infrastructure issues. The IT parks, IT companies had also written to Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai here, urging him to address the issues, saying that this is one of the IT firms and the IT parks which generate crores of revenue, and the massive flooding and the overnight rainfall on August 30th had resulted in a loss of 225 crores.
A metropolis that grew in a different time now battles alarming vagaries of weather, leaving businesses worried with calls for infrastructure upgrade to keep commerce going.
To the recent floods which happened in front of EcoSpace, many companies had to face a lot of issues and challenges, and had to undergo a lot of changes in their business continuity plans, and also announce work from home for 3-4 days, which resulted in several losses, which we also have mentioned in the letter submitted to the Honorable CM. So we look forward for better development and all the necessary commitments which the CM has assured.
On its part, the state government has pledged to address the immediate concerns.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತೀರ್ಮಾನಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತೀರ್ಮಾನಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ.
But studies have ironically linked Bengaluru's woes to unchecked urbanization. A steep decline in vegetation and water bodies and a massive increase of more than 1,000% in concentration of the city. Nature had other plans and the threat no longer abstract. A sustained battle ahead for Bengaluru to maintain the perilous balance between development and the realities of changing climate. With Sagai Raj and Priyanka Rudrappa in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
The fact is, viewers, that all drains in Bengaluru are overflowing, so this massive deluge has nowhere to drain. What's ominous is that there is a warning that it's going to rain more tomorrow. On the other side, the proverbial tech capital, the IT companies have now written to the Chief Minister of Karnataka saying that they are incurring a loss of 225 crores daily with the deluge. Bangaloreans left completely at the mercy of civic apathy. Joining me this evening, Dr. Nagendra Rangappa, spokesperson Karnataka Bharatiya Janata Party, Lavanya Balal, spokesperson Congress, Tara Krishnaswamy, citizen activist and author. Tara, I'd like to begin with you for somebody who's actively, you've come in my show many times where you've talked about abject civic apathy where Bengaluru is concerned. It seems only to be getting worse.
Yeah, it's a long-standing issue, Preeti. Nevertheless, the government of the day is squarely responsible for fixing it and has had nearly 5 years to do so. Flooding is happening, has been happening in lower economic strata areas. And that has happened for decades, right? People who live in slums, even with a small amount of rain, it gets flooded. It is today we are debating this on national TV because the most wealthy, those that live in the fanciest villas, have now seen water come into their homes, and that therefore has garnered national attention. This is an issue of rampant encroachment, of not maintaining stormwater drains, of blocking stormwater drains, diverting stormwater drains, building on top of stormwater drains, of lakes themselves, shrinking or building on lakes. And this is a tragedy because Bangalore is a city with a natural topography such that it has, it is about, it's several thousand feet above sea level, and it's naturally undulating, and there is enough of a natural curvature that a lot of, if not messed with seriously, water will naturally flow towards the numerous lakes that are in the city. This was meant to have happened. Unfortunately, road heights have been raised to the point that they are several feet above the homes. Get this, road heights, by paving on top repeatedly, the same Bengaluru that has pothole-ridden roads, where the quality of roads is a serious problem, the road height, by not digging and relaying properly, instead paving on top, road heights are such that they are well above the home heights, which means water is going to flow into homes. This is in addition to encroachment, this is in addition to, rampant building on top of the drains, or, blocking stormwater drains and encroaching upon lakes. In addition to all that, we have this problem of, the road height being higher than the homes, being more than the homes, and therefore water flowing into the homes. So we have serious problems. People have lost lives, and of course there is business loss and productivity loss. But I feel that the government of the day at this point, now we can say the same thing about previous governments, but in a democracy you throw out the previous government, you usher in the new, in order that they fix the horrendous problems that are left over. And yet that has not happened. We are almost at the cusp of elections. Karnataka elections will have to happen in a few months, and yet we still haven't seen the work needed to fix the infrastructure. And this is not isolated. This is not just a case of the flooding infrastructure. We have the same problem with roads. We have the same problem with traffic, transport infrastructure hasn't moved. So we have a significant impasse in governance, while the government focuses on things like hijab and love jihad and non-existent problems, artificially created problems, real problems are being given the go by.
You know, Tara, I was going to cut across to the BJP spokesperson, but we've just lost him for a little while. We're going to try and connect with him. Lavanya Balal, you know, the Congress is coming out speaking heavily against the government for abject civic apathy, but it's a little rich coming from the Congress because, yes, you're not in government anymore, but you were earlier, and the situation was quite the same. The waters from the slums are just now entering your own home.
I would request you to increase the studio volume a little bit for me because I can't hear you clearly. But you were asking me about Congress's reaction to the entire
I'm asking you about,
situation.
it's a little rich. Criticism from the Congress is a little rich right now where the Bengaluru apathy is concerned because you were in power, in government before. This is as much you're doing as it is the BJP's.
Well, let me just say, BJP came to power across India claiming that they are very different from Congress and they will deliver their promises. We have not seen the promises delivered. Having said that, yes, the previous speaker, I think, was talking about encroachment, lake beds and, you know, stuff like that, which is true. In the last couple of years or last few years, we have seen Bangalore's infrastructure has cost multiple lives than anything else. And that is a point that we are all worried about. And look at how it is 10 minutes of rain is flooding the entire city, the entire IT hub, and multiple IT heads, you know, the company which is headed by people like Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw have multiple times spoken about the poor infrastructure of the Bangalore streets, the Bangalore city. The question is, what has the government done? And we also did not have a governing body for the last 2 years. BBMP elections are around the corner. Hopefully, once the BBMP is in place, things might be a little better, is what I'm hoping. Because the dredging work that needs to be done before rains looks like it has not been done properly. Looks like the encroachment is one of the biggest issues. And will the big builders be penalized for encroaching on this?
But you know,
will the encroachment be removed?
But Lavanya Balal, that was the question, because you're equally responsible for the fate of Bengaluru today. But, you know, I'll come back to you. Dr. Rangappa, spokesperson Bharatiya Janata Party, is with me again. Dr. Rangappa, 225 crores loss a day for what is the tech city of India. You know, there is no wonder, if you actually look at hard cold figures, that most companies don't want to invest in Bengaluru anymore because your infrastructure is crumbling, sir.
It's very unfortunate that the infrastructure has reached such a stage in Bangalore. But if you sit back and analyze, it is a very clear-cut case of policy failure, absence of long-term plans, absence of protocol, faulty design of flyovers, faulty design of culverts, which are all done by the previous governments also, and they are straightly blaming away the BJP government, which is there since last 4.5 years. So my question to the opposition spokesperson is, what is the achievement of the Siddaramaiah government? What is the programs that he has given towards the development of the software area in that Martandi-Bommanahalli belt or the ORR? It is nothing but short, myopic and illogical type of planning that he has given there. So this added to what you have mentioned, around 368% of increased rainfall in the last couple of weeks, 141% of rain maximum average which has increased, 699 encroachments in that area of Martandi-Bommanahalli. What were the Congress and the Kumaraswamy government doing over this, sleeping over it? And
Dr. Rangappa, sir, I have to come in. I have to come in because you're the first spokesperson of a government which you are sitting in power. You are admitting to the abject failure and the civic apathy in Bengaluru. You are admitting to it, but you're blaming the opposition. Sir, it is in your hands. You've already been in government for many years.
We are trying to repair what the damage that has been done by the previous government.
We are going to try and correct your audio line, sir, but, you know, I guess this is what politics is all about. Because it's amazing that you can turn around and blame the opposition while admitting to everything that is wrong with Bengaluru and asking questions of the opposition. I'm sorry, sir. Don't cut it.
Excuse me.
These questions need to be answered by you. Yes, Lavanya, go ahead.
See, BBMP is the governing body of Bangalore city. And BBMP has been governed both by BJP, both the previous BBMP mayor was, Bangalore mayor was from BJP. So BJP and Congress has been in power in the BBMP for the longest time. And BBMP is the second richest civic body in Karnataka, in India after Mumbai. It is the second richest civic body. The question is, what happens to this? You have seen, one of the MLAs of IT sector is Mr. Arvind Limbavali, and you have seen in the last couple of days how he's been reacting to people, how his response has been to the citizens. The question is, the MLAs are at fault, the corporators are at fault, and the biggest thing is, I feel Karnataka needs to stop.
But Mr. Balal, there's enough of the doing of the Congress in this as well. But I'll go back to Mr. Rangappa, Dr. Rangappa now. Dr. Rangappa, it's a little amusing that you admit to everything which is wrong and blame the opposition for it. What is your role? You've been in government for so many years. From last year to this year, what is it that you've done? You're seeing the situation worse this year than last year.
See, in 2017 also there was a similar flood in the same area with a rainfall of only 2 mm. So we have been repairing the faulty structures, faulty culverts, faulty drainage system, clearing the encroachment that was happening, neglected by the Congress and the JDS governments previously for the last 7 years.
If you have fixed the drainage system, the deluge would have drained by now.
It is not easy to repair the infrastructure so easily over the night. They have no comprehensive plan, they have no long-term plan, they have no mid-term plans.
So what about the government? Do you have a long-term plan? Do you have a mid-term plan? What is your immediate plan? What is your immediate plan? 1 second. I'm going to bring it. It's bizarre how you're sitting in government and completely asking questions of the opposition if they have a long-term plan.
Ma'am, that is the fact that we want to place it to the public and the media. You should be able to understand the problem that we are facing, created by the draconian Congress and the JDS government previously.
1 second. I really want to ask you, Dr. Rangappa, what is the problem that you're facing after being in government for so many years?
Madam, the infrastructure like the flyovers they have built, they don't have rain harvesting systems or culverts. Where does the water go when it comes down into the road? They don't have crevice culverts and drains. Where does it go? Now, how can we repair the whole flyover and replace the flyover?
So you're telling me this deluge is a function of one flyover, but I want to bring in Tara. I want to bring in Tara back into this conversation, and Tara's been smiling for a while. It's a little fatalistic, Tara, because you're a citizen of Bengaluru. To fight humor in what is going on in your city right now is
because
absurd.
The BJP spokesperson just said that, the Congress didn't hold the Metropolitan Planning Committee. There is no plan. The BJP has been in power for nearly 4 years, more than 4 years now. Tell me one time that they convened the Metropolitan Planning Committee MPC meeting. The CM himself is the head of is the Bangalore Development Minister. The sitting Chief Minister, Mr. Bommai, is the Bangalore Development Minister. And yet the MPC, which is supposed to do this planning, which he says is failing, has not been convened once since the BJP came to power. Second of all, if he knows that the previous government has ruined things, why have they not conducted the BBMP, the Bangalore Corporation elections? The corporation is responsible for cleaning the stormwater drains and for looking at the encroachments, the building planning authority. Why haven't they conducted the election? We don't have a single corporator. Who do we go complain to? For 2 years now. There is no corporation for 2 years now. If things are in shambles and you knew it coming in, then why didn't you hold a planning meeting? Why haven't you conducted the BBMP elections? And worse still, if you're not able to fix it and you have to go back and blame the previous government, why the hell should we elect you? We already know it's in shambles.
Fair point. Dr. Rangappa, would you like to answer a question that Tara has put forth? 4 years. You're in charge, sir. Your Chief Minister is in charge, head of the board.
Madam, our Chief Minister and our IT-BT Minister, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, have worked very hard on the strategy that we have to follow in the Martelli and the Bommanelli infrastructure corridor area. Number one. Number two, we have announced a comprehensive 1,500 crore project. The tender is done, tendering process is over, and we are going to start the work very, very, very soon. Number two, regarding the BBMP elections, we have to understand one thing, that the appellants who didn't want the election to happen, they have gone to the court regarding the reservations are from the Congress
Sir, I'm
party,
going to bow
not
out
the
of this
BJP.
debate because, you
It
know,
is
the fact
Congress
is,
that has taken a
sir,
stay
the
now.
fact is what you're saying today is quite an insult to the citizens of Bengaluru. 12 million of them, huge insult with what you're saying. So just end it at that. Because you've been in governance, you've been here now long enough. 4 years is enough time for you to correct the basic wrongs. This time around, just because the floods from the slums have reached your own doorstep, you're possibly looking at it harder and once again passing the buck to the previous government, which possibly is none the richer. But the collateral in all of this is the citizen of Bengaluru. I appreciate all three of you for joining us. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Ms. Balal, and thank you, Dr. Rangappa.